The Chicago Bulls have closed out the preseason with yet another win, going undefeated in exhibition play. And I don't know about you guys, but these last 4 minutes of the game or so were probably more exciting than anything I saw all last season in the regular season. Guys were hustling for loose balls, fighting for rebounds, making extra passes before slashing to the hoop. I think Stacey said it best. It was like the Showtime Bulls, and it honestly felt that way with how electric the stadium was. Let me know in the comments if any of you were actually able to attend the game tonight. I think some of you had mentioned that you would be at the game. Let us know what the atmosphere was like seeing those guys go on that incredible run at the end of the game. And speaking of the game and the preseason, that's what I want to be talking about in this video. So what's going on, everyone? You are listening to Bulls Central here. Hope you're all doing well. First and foremost, let me apologize for not having a live stream chat for this game. I was watching the game at my buddy's house and his Wi-Fi was so bad that it couldn't support the stream and the game at the same time, so I thought I would pass on having the stream. But don't worry, I'm sure I will have live chats going throughout the regular season. But in any event, this was a really fun game. Like, neither team was playing as if this was a preseason game. Like, the guys were hustling on fast breaks, running after players on breakaways that you would think they would just let go because the game doesn't count for anything, but they played their butts off, and I loved every minute of it. The guys were having fun. Everybody was getting involved. They were playing team basketball, which again, we have seen in this preseason, but it is just such a refreshing sight to see because we really haven't seen much team basketball from the Bulls over the past few seasons, and to see them play with the level of ball movement, help defense, guys communicating on the court has just been such a pleasant sight for Bulls fans. The Bulls turned the ball over a little more than we'd like to see, 13 times in this game, but I think a lot of that was just, guys getting a little ahead of themselves in the heat of the moment with all that momentum, especially at the end of the game. But it was good to see those assist numbers back up after not having the best assist to turnover ratio in their last game against Cleveland. Bulls shot the ball well tonight, shooting 46% from the field and near 41% from three. I love that they have been experimenting more playing in a mid-range game, which makes sense. I mean, DeRozan is the most effective in the mid-range, and Lavine is efficient all around. He's also a great mid-range shooter. And I'm a bit old school. I kind of miss the art of the mid-range game. I don't like seeing teams just hoisting three-point shots every night. Just doesn't make for very exciting basketball. Aside from the offense, though, how about this team's defense? I mean, I've been saying it from day one. I cannot for the life of me understand the lazy assessments by some of those national media pundits claiming that this Bulls team is going to have a terrible defense. And I'm saying that mildly. There's been much worse things said about the Bulls defense recently, but 13 steals tonight for the team as a whole. They were getting up and down the floor, intercepting passes, forcing turnovers from the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies had 22 turnovers in total. A lot of people just look at blocks and steals and think that as sort of the main forms of how you're assessing a team or a player's defense, but no, it's also how much a team is actually disrupting their opposing team's rhythm and forcing turnovers as a result that might not necessarily lead to a steal. And then how about that block? I mean, I'm not even sure it was a block, actually. It was kind of in between a block and a steal from Alex Caruso, where he broke up that incredible lob from Durant. I love the way that this guy plays defense, and also the energy in which he gets the guys riled up on that end of the floor. Another thing I don't think is getting as much recognition is how much better the Bulls have become in their awareness for help defense on the weak side. Like, Lonzo Ball is always coming in and providing that help defense while also keeping an eye on his man on the perimeter. No disrespect to Coby White, but that is not something he is good at. It's just not something that he could figure out how to play effective defense off the ball, or really on the ball defense for that matter, but especially off the ball. As for players and how they look tonight, I mean, it was great to see Patrick Williams back in the lineup, the starting lineup. We thought that he was going to likely be playing in this game based on how things were progressing, and then we got the word a few hours before the game that he was going to be available and be in the starting lineup, and he looked solid for it being his first game and not really getting a full training camp like the rest of the guys did, since he was out for a portion of it due to his ankle injury. He knocked down a couple threes, played solid defense, including that massive block where he just put the clamps on Jaren Jackson Jr. Jaren Jackson, by the way, is an incredible player. He had an incredible game. That dude is a stud, but he got embarrassed on that play by Patrick. Tony Bradley also got to play in his first game after being out. He only played 9 minutes and looked a little rusty, but scored 4 points in the short time that he was on the court. Lonzo Ball didn't have the best shooting night, but what I like seeing from Lonzo, and we've seen this in other preseason games as well, is when he's not on offense, he finds other ways to be more productive. And in this instance, 7 rebounds, 6 assists to go along with 2 steals. Again, the help defense was key in leading to so many turnovers from the Grizzlies. Zach Lavine, I mean, the man did his thing as always, put up 31 points shooting, a perfect 4 for 4 from 3, 9 for 18 from the field, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, was doing everything on the court the team needed and some. He did have 5 turnovers, he does still need to work on that a bit, but obviously his usage is so high, so you're going to expect more turnovers from a guy like Lavine. Vucevic had himself a much better game than what we had seen from him before in the preseason games. 23 points, shot an incredible 11 for 14 from the field. He also pulled down 8 rebounds. DeMar DeRozan, still looking a little rusty at times with his shot. He shot 6 for 17, but he, did manage to get 19 points because, again, DeRozan is great at getting the foul line. Another key aspect that the Bulls absolutely needed was players that are able to get to the foul line. Speaking of which, I love seeing that Zach Lavine is finally starting to get some calls for once in his life. I mean, I feel like there are still plenty of times where he's getting hacked and the refs choke on the whistle, but it isn't as much as we have seen before, and we'll see if that trend continues going into the regular season. I will say the only thing I didn't like seeing as much tonight is the little amount of time that we got to see from some of the role players or guys that likely won't be in the rotation. Yeah, I get that Billy Donovan is wanting to give his starters significant run together because of the limited number of preseason games and it being a completely new group. But I would have liked to have seen more minutes from guys like Alize Johnson, Dosunmu, Stanley Johnson, Matt Thomas, even Marko Simonovic. He was another DMP again. And what's funny is that when those guys were actually in, that's when the game got the most exciting, when the Bulls went on that incredible run at the end of the game. But I get it, Donovan has a plan with what he's trying to do. I really think it's just for me, I wanted to see more Alize. He's becoming one of my favorite players, and I want to see him get more playing time. But I also know with both Patrick and Tony Bradley coming back, he's likely not going to be getting as many minutes as you were seeing before. Also, it was announced that the Bulls have signed Troy Baxter Jr., who I'm sure some of you saw in the Summer League with his incredible athleticism and highlight level dunks. It's an interesting signing. This late in the game, it's possible this was just done to get him a spot on the Windy City Breeze. However, it does add yet another player between all of the non-guaranteed deals in Alize, Stanley, Matt Thomas, and Troy Baxter Jr. in terms of who will be getting those 2 final roster spots. We'll likely find out sometime this weekend or early next week on who it will be before going into the regular season, but I cannot wait. The regular season for the Bulls is just 5 days away. The Bulls will be tipping off their first game in Detroit against the Pistons. Hopefully the Bulls will be able to get an easy win to kick off the season and, believe it or not, be above 500 for the first time since 2017, which is almost embarrassing to say, but hey, it's a new era now. Let's leave those bad memories in the past. I hope you guys enjoyed the game. Hope you have a great Friday and a great weekend as well. And as always, be sure to subscribe if you're a Bulls fan, as I do post daily Bulls content. Thanks again for tuning in, guys, and I will catch you in the next one.